was obviously an operation up and down the East Coast. These 13 shops that are owned by this family, I know you mentioned that there could be more to come. What you're talking about the 100 vape shops in the county. Are there other, I don't know what you call crime syndicates, or like, do you think that each individual shop is operating like this, or are there more families like this who are doing big business, in multiple locations?
As far as Fairfax County, I don't have any indication of another large organization working like this as a family. As far as the business himself, this isn't obviously the first business that we have targeted for the distribution of legal narcotics.
Mike, what you got?
Chief, just to sort of expand on the discussion about some sort of legislation or laws passed to sort of help you. What type of help would you like to receive, and have you had an opportunity to talk to officials in the county or maybe even local state legislators?
Mike, sometimes an incident like this where we not only execute 13 simultaneous search warrants throughout the county, but we recover marijuana, we recover cash in the tune of over $500,000 in cash, and we stumble upon things that we didn't suspect to stumble upon, like the distribution of synthetic urine. It's a starting point for conversations from other aspects of government, from legislators. So we think, and that's why it's important to share this with the community, we think that this will be a wake-up call for our community, because like I've said a couple times, these tobacco vape shops have really kind of snuck up on us. And the moment I thought there was 95, now there's 116, and if we had this press conference next week, maybe there'll be 125. So it's just a conversation starting point, and I anticipate all those conversations and interactions with lawmakers and others will take place in the near future.
To expand on the encounter with synthetic urine, is there anything you can charge them for selling that?
Yeah, I don't know, Mike. It's taken me 34 years to encounter synthetic urine. I don't have an answer for that. But that's why we're always keeping our head on a swivel when it comes to crime trends and patterns, particularly those that impact young people, because the arrest, we are closing these tobacco burglaries with arrests, and then sadly the persons arrested are kids, literally 13, 12, 14-year-old kids. So it has such an impact on these kids. They know where the vape pens are, and if you watch some of the video that's been released by us and other jurisdictions, they go right to the vape pens. They go right to the cash register, they go right to the vape pens, and if they know where the marijuana is being sold from, they'll go right to the marijuana too. And they're in and out really, really quickly.
Are any of these shops, we do have legal marijuana in the state, it's under certain conditions. Are any of these shops authorized distributors?
No. And again, two different conversations. I don't want to get it confused. The decriminalization, legalization of marijuana is one conversation. These are not authorized distilleries in any way, shape, or form. I know Maryland has authorized and legalized marijuana and the distribution of it at distilleries, and that's done lawfully, and taxes are paid. All that cash that you see in these pictures, there's no tax being paid on that cash. Anybody else? DC.
Just you're talking a lot about kids not only robbing these places but going in to get marijuana vape pens. What is your message for parents out there about these shops?
Yeah, so burglarizing, not robbing, thankfully, but it's just a matter of time before these kids are going to break into one of these stores in the middle of the night thinking it's not going to be occupied, and there might be someone in there, and that someone in there might have a gun. We might have a tragic encounter between a store proprietor and a kid. So, those things are very real possibilities / probabilities. So the message to parents is familiarize yourselves with what a vape pen looks like, number one. And I don't know if we distribute a picture of a vape pen, but we can certainly provide one to you. But be aware of your kids' lives and what they possess in their backpacks and in their bedrooms. That's my overly simple advice. Become aware of this trend pattern, and hopefully the coverage that we get from the local news media will spark some greater awareness, and have conversations with your kids. And chances are, if your child possesses a vape pen, he or she is using drugs, smoking drugs with the vape pen, and chances are nowadays marijuana is not what it used to be. The THC level is higher, and it's routinely laced with fentanyl, unbeknownst to some of these kids who think they're just smoking marijuana.
Chief, and I will also add to that, as you see in your packet, there were 7 firearms recovered. So when you're talking about these juveniles committing burglaries and breaking into these individual establishments, they could be in there protecting their product and unfortunately use one of those firearms against someone who's breaking into those buildings.
You talk?
Mike, go ahead.
How did you guys get turned on to this back in 2024? Was it because of all the calls for service?
Well, I'd say 3 things. Calls for service were dramatically increasing, and not just for burglaries at these tobacco vape shops, but for disorder around the vape shops. People loitering in parking lots, people trespassing, people being disorderly. So the increase in calls for service was a red flag. Crime Solvers tips, 1-866-411 tips, those went up. Red flag number 2. Red flag number 3 were concerns from some parents who contacted the police, particularly at the district station level, and asked hard questions because they were seeing their children in possession of vape pens and otherwise behaving differently. So it's those 3 things. It's never just one thing that brings something to our attention, but that's when we realized that we had an issue that we need to address, and we still need to address it. And I'm hopeful that this conversation, the 13 search warrants that were executed and what we recovered will send a message that this is a 2026 issue, and we need to put these dens of ill repute, these hives of corruption, out of business.
What would you like to see here when it comes to helping you fight this? Because I don't know the fact. I know in D.C. we've seen several places shut down when these sort of things are found, I believe. And here you're saying they're back open. Talk a bit about what it looks like to give you more teeth to go after these sorts of
Well, Fairfax County government is a well-oiled machine, and I have no doubt that we'll continue our conversations with our other county government partners to see how we can put our heads together to take advantage of things like use and occupancy permits, zoning permits, zoning considerations that hopefully will make us more aware of the volume of these tobacco vape shops throughout Fairfax County. I know the DC legislation limited a tobacco vape shop within so many feet, I don't want to misquote how many feet, of a school. So that is a legislative fix. So we're interested in that conversation as well. Because you got to believe that of the 116 that exist throughout Fairfax County, most of which disproportionately exist in the Mason district station, the Annandale community, et cetera, there's got to be proximity to schools. And these kids are walking out of school and they're walking to the tobacco vape shop.
And you also said this is an East Coast thing, so there's a number of shops going up the East Coast. Do you have other departments contacting you now to work with them and share what you found?
Yeah, even prior to the execution of these search warrants, we've been working with other police departments throughout the Commonwealth and up and down the East Coast. It's not a Fairfax County problem. It's not a Northern Virginia problem. We are excited about the possibility of being part of a solution going forward to limit, to better regulate, and to hold nefarious business owners accountable because that's what we just did. And we believe we may have just cracked the tip of the iceberg. Yes, ma'am.
I had conversations with some detectives in Texas talking about vape shops because they had similar operations. And they commented on the vapes coming from Mexico, from the cartels, coming from China, and this whole operation, China, Mexico, they fill it up with who knows, and then they try to sell it to the U.S. because in Mexico they have regulations in place, right? Any idea where these vapes come from, these vapes that the kids are using and buying?
Yeah, so one of the things we noticed when we were doing this search warrant and the major and I walked through is a lot of those items are counterfeit items, which again, when these juveniles get a hold of it, it may not contain the items that they think is inside of it. So that's where our federal partners came in because they have ability to make some charges based on that. We saw items on the shelf that were Sweden and different other countries that may not have a regulation that the United States have, and so they're selling these things, and folks have no idea what's in them.
And just to be clear, those 12, 13 stores are still selling those vapes today? Like, because you say that they were open.
Well, we seized a lot of we seized the illegal products. But as far as some of the other items that they have, yes, they're still in operation. Even to the point of during our search warrant, I think we intercepted UPS or whatever delivery service delivering more product. So we took that as well.
There's a bill that would move ABC to the, I guess, kind of oversight body of vape shops. It made its way through the General Assembly. You might be familiar with it, waiting for governor's signature. If ABC had the oversight, obviously it would probably be a much different structure than the way they operate the spirit stores. But would that level of oversight maybe catch some of these things? I mean, do you have any faith that something like that?
Something like that, Drew. So now we're right of boom, right? It's got everybody's attention. So from that, I think some legislative oversight, specific legislative enforcement responsibility is probably a good idea. And then perhaps down the road, and we'll be happy to be a part of any discussions about potential legislation. I know our county government does a great job with introducing legislation in Richmond every year, and I suspect this will probably be one of the things that Fairfax County is going to absolutely be proud to take the lead on.
These types of crimes, you're saying a lot of them are concentrated in the Nixon district. How would you characterize the impact they have on your resources? Because you have a lot of initiatives going on.
Yeah.
Is this drawing?
So, Mike, I try to describe, take 1,300 calls for service. So that's at least 2 police officers per call, oftentimes more. And then if a crime is committed, you're adding a detective. You're adding a crime scene detective. You're adding the real-time crime center's involvement. Now and in the future, you're adding the potential deployment of a drone. So there's a price tag associated with calls for service and criminal investigations. And that price is paid by the taxpayers. So and when taxpayers see law enforcement sees large sums of cash like we did, not only from the stores but from the cars of one of these folks that we interacted with, they know that that's illicit cash, funds, money that's not being taxed, and these people are getting away with committing crimes. And it's always been my experience that the majority of folks would look at something like this, shake their head up and down, and agree with us that we got to do something to address it. And those conversations are taking place and will only get further discussed in the near future. So,
is the department having conversations with schools because these kids are using the vapes in schools?
Ongoing discussions. Our 55, 56 school resource officers are very familiar with vape pens, very familiar with marijuana. Mushrooms are being sold out of these things. So our school resource officers are some of our strongest allies when it comes to the education prevention piece of this, and they will continue to be a part of the solution. So this message today is we're all here part of seeking a solution. No one is at odds with each other. The police are not at odds with the business community. The government's not at odds with the business community. Who we take issue with are folks who are harming children, putting children's lives into jeopardy, and otherwise just getting away with committing crimes right under our noses.
Is your warning to other shops like this out there, maybe these that are reopened, and then those others that maybe you haven't found yet who might be dealing in some of this?
Well, the message from the Fairfax County Police Department is we're watching, we're paying attention, and we will conduct a criminal investigation in a heartbeat the moment we think you're committing crimes that harm our children. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.